The budget workshop to order.
One of those small lakes.
Got 3 items on the agenda tonight for budget discussion, administration, mayor, council, and finance. We're gonna start with administration. I guess we'll put it in Darren's court right away.
Yeah. So, yeah, we can go through pretty much line by line. The first few as we kind of go through our increases is per either union contract or annual COLA increases. But if you kind of look at those budget worksheets, just for those who haven't seen them before, on the far left column, you can see the expenditures with the 101 dash, and then it's the respective numbers per each department. And then as you move over the column to the right, 23 actual. That would be what was spent out of the 23 budget, go to 24 actual. And then you can see for 25, there's 3 columns over, just 2 are, 2 have numbers at it. One is the current budget that was budgeted for 2025, and the year-to-date actual is what has been spent out of that account year-to-date. And then far over to the right column, you'll see 2026 proposed budget. And those are the numbers that we'll talk about tonight that are obviously for the 2026 proposed. We can walk through those, and any questions or discussion we have, that would be great. So,
Darren,
yes.
one question, on the year date, is that through which time?
Excuse me?
The date is through what time?
So if you look in the top left corner of these budget worksheets, they're printed off on Friday the 5th, 9/5.
So the actual, what we spent is through that date?
That would be up to that date, given that everything, all the journal entries from the finance are up to date, yeah. That'd be a pretty fair, accurate number.
Can you tell me, is there any departments behind on getting expenses in? I know we had that issue here a few years ago, and I'm just curious to see if that's still something that's happening.
To my knowledge, and I could follow up with that with you, Delane, but to my knowledge, everything has been submitted. Anything that was found prior staff members, my understanding, has been submitted currently, so we should be up to date on that.
Okay.
So the first one I do want to talk about on the city administrator is the salaries. So the first one, I'm just going to reference the last 4 numbers if that works. 0101, very top. As you can see, for 2026, there's 451,617 for salaries. A couple questions I have and just some explanations on that. You'll see an increase on that. Main reason for the increase is prior in 25, the marketing coordinator's salary came out of finance. And we have since moved that back to the city administrator's budget. So that's going to be the main increase that you're going to see, is just a journal entry of transfer of funds for those. The employees that pull salaries from the city administrator budget is obviously the city administrator, HR coordinator, the administrative assistant, city clerk, marketing coordinator, and then the janitor. 1/3 comes out of that budget for the janitor. And like the PD cost shares that, another 1/3 comes out of there, and I believe the pool, so on and so forth. So those salaries are just gonna reflect any COLA per union or agreed upon salaries. The only question I would have for council is currently the city administrator's salary for 2026 is budgeted at $150,000. Just wondering if we want to look at increasing that to reflect the salary scale that we're using.
What's our scale?
140 to 160.
I mean, as far as just to stay safe, should we do 160?
I think we should. And some of these, a lot of these journal entries were, done by Jeff, and I'm picking those up and following through. That is one I did notice today, that's where it's currently budgeted at. And that might have been prior to council deciding on the salary range for the new position. So that would just be a council decision. I can certainly bump that up if we think that's appropriate or what that looks like. And then honestly, as we go through, it'll probably even itself out, because one thing that isn't reflected in these, because these were printed late Friday, and we did find out from our insurance that our rates are staying the same, 0% increase. In fact, the city is receiving a $35,000 rebate because we haven't used, we've had low claims. So, and I think on this one here, as we get through there, it's a significant saving for health insurance just through the city administrator budget, so I think it would kind of wash itself out. But just some guidance on that, I'm happy to change that to 160 if that's what
What do
we
you
think
guys
we need.
think?
I mean, just to be on the safe side, if that's what we said that the range is gonna be, then just budget it at the high end. I mean, it's not gonna hurt us in any way.
You know, and maybe even if, we could go on this also if you prefer to, that if by the end of the year we do have an administrator in place and a salary set, we could also adjust that later down the road if that works with council.
A quick question, it's sort of indirectly connected to the budget and then delaying this thing as well. We have a full-time administrator role, which you're doing now as an interim. And historically, that's been separate than what the mayor, but in some cities that those two things are combined together. Is that something that we can change or not?
Combining the mayor and the city administrator salary, is that what you said?
Well, combining those positions and having one salary for that.
I mean, that would
I'm
be,
just
that would be council
curiosity,
decision.
do we have that flexibility to do that or not?
I believe we can, we can move the mayor's salary to whatever
I mean,
expense.
I mean, they're two separate positions.
The mayor, I think Jeff, did he combine the?
He did, he combined that with the council, we currently, the mayor's budget is now combined with council, so we did kind of roll that over already. But historically, we have not had that in the administrator's salary.
You're talking about combining the two positions.
Exactly, yeah.
Combining the job, I don't think we
It's a
could
big
combine
deal.
the jobs, because the mayor is a elected position, like, I don't think we could just hand it.
And I could follow
to
up with
city
some further
administrator.
guidance on that, if that's something you guys.
And then to go the other way, I don't believe the city administrator can vote. So if we had a
Yeah.
tie,
No.
eliminate
The mayor breaks
combine
ties,
that.
basically, but.
I was mainly interested in knowing what kind of wiggle room we have in that, and certainly it's an elected position. So that would have to change things quite a bit, but the reason why I state that is that in terms of to have a good pool of candidates who come in, when you have a title such as mayor, you might get a different group of people coming in. Just a thought.
Okay. Okay, any further questions on, so I will adjust that to 160, and like I said, we can have further discussion down the road. If we do place an administrator and have a salary set at a lower number, we can adjust that for that. The next line item, 0102, salaries overtime. You'll see that there's a $700 proposed budget for that. The overtime for that is for elections, is for a city clerk when we hold elections. As you know, they go from morning till night, and there's usually some overtime incurred with that, so that is where that line item is for. The next few, all the way down to 0142, those are all benefit-related salaries, so like PERA, FICA, Medicare, health insurance. The one note I will say on the health insurance is that we've currently have it budgeted for $78,870. As I said earlier, insurance rates stayed the same. So we will be able to reduce that by $7,170, keeping it at the same, assuming that there isn't any increase for the employee share on that. Next one, 0200 office supplies. I'm just gonna go right down the line unless you guys tell me different, okay?
Unless there's a huge discrepancy, I mean, I don't see the need of going through all the line items unless somebody wants to see one particular, but I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, it could take, when we get into some of these parks and recs and other ones, it could take all night. In the past, what we've done is, if there's huge discrepancies or huge differences from the prior year in the 26 budget, then we would stop and discuss that one. What does anybody else think?
Yeah, I think that's what we,
Huh?
yeah, I mean, going through and seeing what we see.
Yeah, and I could just do that. I can hit the increase line items if
I
that
mean, if you
works.
wanna use like 10 or 15 or 20% as a guide, I don't know. I mean, we don't have to be exact, but,
Sure.
or if there's something that you think is, or else we'll just bring them up individually if we see something that piques our interest. Does that sound fair?
Yep.
Okay.
I have a question on, employment advertisement, as I imagine looking for a city administrator is costly, but when we utilize this League of Minnesota Cities, is that no cost to us?
The League of Minnesota Cities is no cost to
Okay.
us, correct? So some of that employment advertising has also been related, again, because we have several positions that fall under the administrator's budget, like HR. The marketing coordinator, that has been used for that typically in the past, that lower number for that. The other line item we can talk about is 0312 professional fees. That can be a discussion for council. That's currently set at $35,000. Basically, what we would be issuing or looking to spend that money for is like we have as examples in the past, the municipal cannabis study, any related feasibility studies, for example, like AE2S with the pool, any research studies, EAP services does come out of there, any comprehensive plans is taken out of there. We have global safety network maintenance, annual maintenance fees. So there is an increase in that, but just given some of the projects that are possibly pending throughout the city, it was suggested that that number should be at that. We could look at decreasing it if we think that's appropriate, but that's where we're at now.
Did we not budget anything for 2025?
It does not look like there was.
Morgan, I think you guys pulled out of my department, most of those.
I mean, I know some of the items Jeff had moved from one spot to the other.
Yeah, and I can get a little more detail on that also, if it was a transfer from EDA or what that looked like, but it just in the past, any studies that council has recommended that we have typically or will come out of that line item.
And does that also include like when we have to hire like an outside law firm to do something?
No, there is a separate.
We have a different line item for that?
There is actually a different department that we take that out of strictly for legal.
Can we look into that? I mean, if it used to be in your fund, I noticed that there seems to be, he had completely cut the economic development, so I don't know if he had taken that and then moved it back in here, so.
We can follow up on that and I can follow up and let you know in the
Okay.
next budget meeting, sure.
If I could also address this more than that.
Sure.
We're working on childcare, and there'll be a lot of studies that we're gonna have to look at, or even legal, or looking at maybe zoning out some of the areas to build on. We just had a meeting, we've been having meetings monthly. So there may be some professional fees coming out of that, looking at an architect to design a building, those are type of things I think we need to accommodate for that too.
I'm not saying cut, I'm just wondering where it should.
Well, I saw that that was a recommendation that Jeff had made. I don't think he would have changed anything in the
If you look at
budget to reflect
he
it.
cut both positions, and reflected that in the budget. That's why I started asking to go line by line.
On travel training 0331, again, just talking about there's a decrease in that. For 2025, it was budgeted 11,000, for 26 is projected at 7,500. Again, those are used for the ICMA or International City Council Management Association fees, conferences, the Municipal Clerks and Finance Officers Association training, League of Minnesota City dues, HR related training. So the reason for the larger expense in 25 is I believe under the prior city administrator's contract, it was agreed that he would go to Florida for the ICMA conference, which is not happening this year, and I guess it would just be a contractual item if under the new city administrator, that council direction is to send them to that conference. So we felt pretty comfortable with moving that to 7,500. Another decrease was in 0354 public information. Again, just looking at historical rates or what and what that looked like. The money that comes out of there is for the CSC video stream. There was a RFP for the CSC painting that came out of that. We paid some tournament advertising out of there. But that was the suggestion to decrease that number to 2,500. And then lastly, on this one, unless there's any other question, is 0580, which is actually a CIP item. I'm sorry, yep, 0580. And we can get into CIPs even later down the road, but that 6,000 is for an HR fireproof safe or cabinet for long-term storage of files. Best practices is that we have a fires cabinet, and we don't have that, and the budget amount for that was approximately 6,000.
So on this budget for subscription and dues, is any of these numbers here for any IT fees that we have to pay, or is that?
Not out of this line, that would come out of IT, correct?
That's IT's budget.
I remember last year we moved everything to the IT budget, so this subscription has nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that, like I said, it's the Municipal Clerks and Finance Officers Association, notary fees, and other related admin annual membership,
Okay.
so, yep.
Did you comment on the public information?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the one he was talking about, like the CSC board.
So when the travel budget is reduced by 31%, are people on the council traveling a lot, or is there always sufficient monies for them?
So this would just be for the administration-related staff. Council has a line item for travel and training?
That is part of this?
No, it'd be separate in their budget.
Different
It'd be in the
budget.
council and mayor budget.
This was, he said he was basically like Jeff was gonna go to Florida for that conference and.
Any other
We do
questions
that,
or anything that sticks out on you that I can hopefully answer for you on the city administrator budget? So again, the percentages increase or decrease are gonna be difficult. I can follow up with that again because the journal entries for insurance were made with a 10% increase as just kind of what we were told originally from the health insurance that was gonna go up from anywhere from like 14 to 20%. So we kind of just took a 10 as an average. But like I said, now that's gonna be reduced, again, with the increase in the salary for city administrator, it'd be hard to tell you the increase on percentage of that, but I can certainly follow up with that on the next meeting. After we make some of those additional journal entries.
Well, that could be a wash too.
Yeah, it could come close,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any other questions on administration?
Is this where the note was to add a phone for HR also, or is that in the next one?
No, that would be in this one. So, HR has always had a phone,
Like a cell phone?
correct? They have, and I think where you're seeing add that is, so again, there was kind of, some expenditures for HR came out of finance. And when I was going through the finance budget, I think there has to be a journal entry to move that money back over, but originally the cell phone, monthly bills were taken out of finance and now they're coming back to, administration. But, yeah, HR has had a phone since they, took that position. I discussed that with them today. Some of the reason for it is, phone calls from background, related companies that call directly. Department heads do occasionally call her and or staff related questions, some of them after hours. One example, an employee was at a healthcare, facility and something was wrong with their healthcare, so they called. Also with, screening recruits, as far as, when we're advertising. As one mean of communication that is very popular now is texting. So she does do a lot of texting with possible candidates that have applied for jobs for follow-up, as it often seems is a good piece of communication, so.
So we're expecting her to be on call all the time.
We're not expecting her to be on call, but occasionally she has screened calls, either when she's away from her desk or after hours from employees, she has.
Is she salaried or hourly?
She's salaried. Any other questions?
Does she also handle the work comp claims, or do you have an outside company doing that?
No, I believe she handles all of those, and she also does help with finance payroll, every 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on. Mayor council.
Okay, same thing there, salaries, you'll see an increase there, and basically the only increase for that is again because we combined the mayor and council budgets. So the increase there is exactly the mayor's salary on the 55,600. Let's see, again, the next few line items again are just gonna be related to salary and benefits. An increase that we have is 0331, travel and training. That was just increased by $1,000 to kind of reflect the actual was spent in 25. And again, that is used for League of Minnesota Cities training and or any other related finance seminars or whatnot that council's interested in, such as Eller's Conference or other training along that lines.
So, just a question on, the salaries.
Sure.
The 55,600, that's assuming we have full council all year round?
Correct. Yes.
Is that, and that's why that we have less than the other years is because some council members were absent or didn't have them at that
But
time?
there was a void for,
Yeah, void, okay.
absolutely,
I
yep,
get it.
yep. And that's pretty indicative of most budgets, unfortunately, yep. Real estate taxes and abatement 0439. So, in talking to Jeff, it was discovered that we may have some tax abatements coming due that will increase some of these payments back to the county and school districts. So basically what we pay out of that is any city-owned property that the city makes revenue on. So example, like farmland, renting out portion of the CSC. Anytime that we rent out property that we make revenue on, we have to pay real estate tax on that. If it's other property owned by the city that's used for public purposes, parks, et cetera, they're tax exempt. So you'll see an increase in that, but that's just anticipating that we're gonna have some tax abatements coming due in the near future. I could get you more of a description on that, but that was what the reason for the budgeted amount there, up to 50,000 from prior years. And then lastly, this one's open for discussion, the 0591. Council approved budget items. We set that at 50,000 this year as a placeholder. But again, that line item is for the nonprofit grants such as Tri-Valley Transportation, Golden Link, Humane Society, Oxcart. Those organizations that we've funded in the past. So again, completely up for debate on council's direction. We can change that. However, in the past, as you can see in 2025, we did budget 120,000. But this year as a placeholder, we started at 50,000.
How much do we give to Tri-Valley?
I think they're asking for roughly 17,000 this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say 16-ish, but yeah, 17,000.
My question is that what they need to stay operating at their exact current route and hours and all of that?
In talking to the CEO of Trolley Valley last week, it sounded like it was very important that they receive those funds to keep their transportation going. They do use that as a budgetary item in their budget that we receive.
Are these folks gonna come in and give a presentation on?
Well,
Do we wanna open that up? They have in the past, they did last year.
but I think the only two we should look at funding is Tri-Valley and the Golden Link.
And I'm probably right there along with you.
And then, I don't know what happened, but why was, I don't know when it happened, but Tri-Valley the Golden Link used to be under Park Board's budget, and I don't know why it ever got pulled out of there. I think if we could get a little history on that, maybe.
Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, it's still coming out of the city's budget.
Right.
I guess I'm less concerned if where it goes and, so tell me why it matters, I guess, Dale, so I can understand.
Well, that way if we know it's in you know, park and rec budget, it's not gonna get, you know, cut or, you know, we're gonna give them lower amount that they need to operate, I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't understand that. That cut,
Go ahead, sorry to interrupt.
Well, it used to, I don't know if, you know, I'm not sure what they're looking for. But I mean, you know, under the budget that we're having this year, I'm just wondering, are we gonna have the funds to pay them? So if it
well,
was,
that's what we have to look at it.
but I mean, if it was under park and rec, we, you know, it was always been there. And it was never an issue that,
But it sounds like you're saying that there are always gonna be funds there if the park and rec has it versus the other way. I mean, it still doesn't matter.
well, right, but I mean, in the past too, it's like, it seems like park and rec was always a stepping stone. If we had to make budget cuts, we would always go to park and rec and see what we could cut out there, but,
Did they
That sounds
separate
like
so they
that's what
could,
happened.
huh?
It sounds like that's what happened, like that was what got cut out and they went, okay, like let's try to go, you can try to go get this grant and then doing the grant, so.
I think that's right, I think they went, separate so that they could get a nonprofit and get some funding that way.
I think also to keep the programs consistent, to make each person or entity apply. There's also reasoning behind that.
So they're all in a similar location or, but,
They're also not a city-owned or run
Correct.
entity to put it under.
right.
You know, and if you guys, if the council is interested in having them present, I mean, we do have the 24th open. I mean, it's your decision. I mean, we could do another budget meeting on the 24th. Currently, we don't have any.
I mean, when we're given, you know, in the last 2 years they've come in, they really haven't, in my opinion, done a very good job presenting their budget of where they're trying to get extra money or cut expenses, and, you know, that's, I'd like to see if, you know, I don't know what anybody else thinks, if they're,
I mean, here's my thought, is we're having to make cuts, right? And so I'm not saying not, but to your point of Tri-Valley, it's a budget item that they're expecting. And here's my thing, I'm not trying to cut the bus because I know a good part of our population uses that to get to work, to get to school, get their kids to school, all of that. But here's my question, what does it cost if they cut their hours or if they cut down? Because it's hard for us when we're looking at cutting complete programs to then still subsidize
I
other
agree. I
things,
mean,
to
if
then
there's-
not having to make a
if
cut.
we're going through pain, then we wanna see if they're going through pain, or if they just want us to.
I don't want anyone to go through pain.
Right, no, I get what you're saying, but I mean, it's, you know,
We're just not in a position to
Give away
help
money.
others when we need to help ourselves.
But I wonder how many use the Tri-Valley bus for, you know, that don't have transportation at, like, in the winter months to get
I
to
mean,
American
A good
Crystal.
chunk, I think it's a lot.
I'm good.
To American
Chunk, I mean,
Crystal or New Flyer or,
You go up and you sit in the Riverview waiting area for half an hour, and you see how much that bus gets used up there, and it's, I would say it's a necessity.
I mean, just in my neighborhood, there are no through streets, I see that thing going
I
constantly
mean,
through my
yeah, so I
neighborhood.
mean, that's actually one of the discretionary things that I really strongly agree with us helping out with whatever we can. The other stuff that we've done in the past, I could, you know,
I know, all true in Riverview, you know, they have it where they will, Tri-Valley will pick up a patient or pick up a person to clinics, stuff like that. Important asset too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need some sort of public
And
transportation.
I think we do, I think it's just, my question is, what is their hours? Right, like, is it running super late at night, is that needed? I mean, I don't know.
yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, that's why it's a good idea to maybe have them come in and visit, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anyone say that we should cut that service. I think the question is,
At what level?
well, I think maybe if they are gonna present, to offer possibilities, and then the cream of the crop, this is what we can provide versus, right, and see what those costs are, and see if, because, I mean, that might help them know how they're using their money, to present that in a manner that goes, that resonates with people sitting here to understand where the money is being spent. It could be that everything is exactly where it needs to be in terms of how the money is spent, but we don't know that.
A quick Google says that their bus goes Monday through Friday, 7 AM to 8:30.
Yeah, my question is this subsidy also helping the Thief River, Pennington County, Red Lake, Polk County, I mean, to Grand Forks, to Fargo? I would want to make sure that this money is staying here.
I mean, people from Crookston need to get to those places still too.
I think, but doesn't Tri-Valley, if they do a bus trip, let's say to Fargo or Grand Forks, there is a fee that each
I'm not sure how they,
rider
Yeah, but,
pays.
back to your original comment, Dale, I mean, if everybody else agrees, I'm fine this year with just going with the two, you know, and then doing what we can, because those are two, I think, important ones with our community and with the lack of revenue for the city. I mean, I think it'd be fine with just go with it, just call it. We're just gonna go with these two this year,
Oh, at what level?
but.
Yeah, cause I mean 50,000 doesn't even touch
No,
what the lake needs.
Yeah, that's a different subject, we can increase that or whatever you guys think, but maybe we should table the amount for now and then get a sense of what those two will be asking and then debate that at a different meeting.
So I think right now, if I got the numbers exact right, so like Tri-Valley, I'm seeing 16,000 for last year and 75,000 for Golden Link. So, you know, a couple directions, like you said, we could table this and you know, we do have some time before the end of the month to talk about it again. If you want them to come in, we can schedule that, or another suggestion from staff has been just set that amount at what council's comfortable with. And the groups have to fall within that guideline. If you set it at 100,000 or whatever that number is, whoever applies, it would be your determination who falls underneath that.
We could temporarily put in a placeholder of what we gave last year to those two entities and just run with that for now.
My only thing is if we do that, we need to go cut that part from somewhere else.
For the what?
Whatever, so 75 plus,
It'd be 91,000.
so we need to go cut $41,000 from somewhere else.
I think it'd be interesting to know in terms of that budget for Tri-Valley. I think it's a great service. It's how much goes to gas, how much goes to drivers, and in terms of efficiency, because they're paid to constantly go all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a modern
But,
approach.
I mean, that's asking us to get into their business and dictating how they run their business, and that's really not what we do, right? I mean, they can do their business however they want, they're just looking for a little extra from us, and I mean, does that sound right or not? I mean, same thing with the Golden Link, we've asked them to, you know, bring in their budgets and do stuff, but it's really not our job for how they run their operation.
I mean, that, at one point, that's true, but the other point is that if they are using monies to supplement their budget, I think it's a fair question to say how is the money being spent.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Well, it'd be, on the Golden Link piece, it'd be interesting to see what they use the funding that we supply them.
Well, I mean, when they came in,
we really isn't funding it.
they really didn't have a good breakdown on how they use our funding. They just said, well, this is our,
This is what it costs.
But, you know, I think in the past, it was always, what we contributed to the Golden Link, it was always for some maintenance in the insurance piece. So I don't know what came on top of that regarding,
well, like I said, I remember it started to increase back when Wayne Melby was on, and, you know, and I agreed with him at the time that, you know, we give so much to the youth in our community, and what are we giving back to the elderly of our community that have paid taxes and done a lot for our community over the years. You know, and I think of that often when I think about the Golden Link, and I don't disagree with that. So then I think it started to increase from there, because we all seen that I guess that, that thought process that Wayne was going through, and I tended to agree with it, I guess. But maybe, like what you're saying, maybe we should just get back to saying, these are the types of things we're gonna help you with, maintenance and whatever. And we increased it because we stopped doing the snow removal too down there,
And I think garbage,
garbage.
so.
You know, another big one that we've always funded was Ox Cart, the 6,000 for fireworks.
Yeah.
That was kind of a staple that we've always done, but, so just to recap, I mean, I can placehold it at 91,000 for now, just tallying up those two for the Golden Lake Tri-Valley. Do you want these groups to propose or have anybody come in and present, or how would you like to do that?
I'd like to see it,
Yeah, I would like to see it.
so we can find out like the Golden Lake.
I mean, I would suggest if they're gonna come in, that they just don't come in unprepared.
I could
I mean,
preface
I'd
it.
rather them not come in and just,
And I would preference it that they're probably not gonna get the amount that they're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we will probably be cutting what we have given them.
So, and also to give them some time is, right now, the 24th, we do not have a budget meeting set, but we could look at using that if council would like, and we could send that out down the road, and then that would also give them some time to prepare for that. Does that work?
That works.
Okay.
Fine.
Perfect. Any other questions on council and mayor?
Regarding, Tri-Valley, they're what, just a grand or 1,500 over last year's ask?
I believe so. Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, okay. I will work out with reaching out to them or sending out a citywide memo on that. Sounds good.
Okay, last one is finance.
So, yeah, I'll muddle through this. If we have any other question, I think we can get through it fairly efficiently, but unfortunately Holly couldn't be here tonight. So if we do have any follow-up questions, we can get back to those on Wednesday when we do Park and Rec. Revenues, if you'd like, I can just run through them. They're pretty self-explanatory. If you look at the top 2110 liquor license, the revenue from that again is just from the liquor license that the city sells. You'll see that there was one for beer, that would be 3.2. We have combined those into liquor, so there is only one revenue line item for that. 2181 licensed cigarette, that's for tobacco license. The revenue that received for that. On the other 2182 license other, it says that is revenue we received from food trucks or solicitor licenses. And then the last one there on the top column is 2270, special vehicle permit. Those are for our golf cart or small truck permits that we sell each year.
So did we not collect anything for liquor licenses, or has that just not been added in?
Um,
does that come at the end of the year?
or, well, say that again, where we have not, we.
2110, it's showing year-to-date actual is 0.
Isn't it 17,000 budgeted?
That was the budget.
budgeted.
Where did we, what is the actual revenue?
Yeah, they may, you know what, I will follow up with you on that, thank you, that, they may not be due yet this year. I think actually, if I remember right talking to Ashley, I do believe they're coming up right now.
Okay.
I could look here real
So
quick and see what we got charged.
Is all this revenue, dictated by the state on what we can charge?
On the liquor and tobacco license, it is.
And have we, and I know I ask this every year, on all the revenue areas and all the different departments we're gonna go over, have we looked at all of them to see if there's any, chances to increase revenue in any of those revenue streams?
Yeah, we can certainly continue to explore that as we move forward. Some of these, like these liquor license and different things, you know, on some of these budgets, including like the police department, I don't know how we can increase some of those, but, yeah, we can certainly take a closer look at that, absolutely.
I mean, we're always talking about the expense side, and I just wanna make sure we give the full thought process and any revenue that we can gain, which would offset the expenses if we can.
I just came from the park board meeting, and that was a big discussion that we had there, so.
Okay.
Is
And
it-
what was the discussion talking about some increases?
And finding other ways.
Is it even reasonable to have 17,000 there when you look at 2023 and 2024?
Yeah, what happened in 24?
Yeah, you know, and you can see that, you know, 24, that's, I'm looking at too. These are projected numbers, and a lot of times we're pretty conservative on how we present those, but, you know, I would have to check with Holly and get back to you on Wednesday if it's his journal entries that are not updated or if we're behind on that. I apologize. Charges for service, the first line 4107, assessment searches, and that's just exactly what that is. Anytime in real estate property that is going to be sold, or we are asked to do an assessment search, we charge $15 per assessment search. That's the revenue for that. If there's any special assessments on the property. The next one, 4112, administrative charge. Again, that would be any revenue that we collect for fees sent to property owner for an assessment charge. So basically the paperwork that's tied to it. And then the next one, 4405, contractual mowing, that is when the services are paid, again, such as nuisance mowing or whatnot.
So we've had a lot so far this year.
For the, yes, and most of those are, if not all of them, I can look, most of them are for nuisance mowings.
Does that take a couple years to get assessed onto their taxes before we see that return?
It does, yeah, usually it's the next coming tax year, correct? I can pull that up for you. Yeah, actually, to answer your question, Lane, all of that is for nuisance mowing. The 8,000.
And that, like, said that it's all gonna be recouped through the property taxes in, right?
Correct, or that that's already been paid, correct, yes,
Okay.
yep. If it's not paid, yes, then it's assessed on.
Well, yeah, all right, that's not an
Yeah.
expense, it's revenue.
Yeah, correct.
Sorry.
Yeah, salaries, again, the finance department consists of the finance director, payroll, accounting clerk, and the accountant. So the 26.6 or 2026 proposed of 214,057 would reflect any union or COLA increases for that. Along with the next line items would be any fringe benefits that would be associated with those salaries.
So there's 4 people in that department?
There is 3.
3.
Health insurance on this one also, there'll be a decrease of about $12,345. Again, when this was printed on Friday, it was prior to us learning about the 0% increase. So that was to reflect about a 10% increase. Actually, looks like it was a little bit more, but we will be able to reduce that significantly. Kind of keep on moving down. Professional fees, 0312. So we've used those before, or for, as you can see, they're quite extensive in years prior. That's payment for accounting services, if you remember, such as Baker Tilly, hiring them for interim finance director, also payments for audits come out of there. We did decrease that by $25,000. Our hope is as we remain fully staffed and continue to have long-term experienced employees, that number will continue to drop. So you'll see a decrease of 25,000 in that line item for 2026.
Are we no longer using them for accounting?
I believe currently we're just using them for audit services.
We're using a different company for,
CLA, wasn't it?
yes, are we still using CLA in any way?
Again, I can follow up with that on Wednesday. I think we are still using some of their services, but I will follow up.
We just got it.
Okay.
Well, because they were so far behind
Yeah.
in January, they hadn't even gotten through June.
Cause I know internally we've done a lot of that.
Yeah, we switched it.
That's just, are we still paying them for anything else?
So travel and training, 0331, there's an increase of $1,000 in the proposed budget for that. Again, that's used for the finance staff, any finance related trainings. Legal public notification 0352. Again, that's related to any public notification that the finance department has to do. As a breakdown of that, again, if you would like that, I could have, unfortunately, I wish Holly was here, we could have a follow-up from her on that. Everything else looks like it is the same, no increases. And then the last item that I do have on here is 0570. Office equipment and furnishings, again, that would be a CIP request for $1,500 to update some outdated furniture. And again, I could get a breakdown of that from Holly if council would like that.
So I know you already talked about professional fees, but if we just, it's such an interesting layout here in the columns and it's really all over the board. Does that imply that like in 2022 and 2023, when it was so low, $70 and $12,000, then it jumps up to 41, basically, and then $100,000 is budgeted for 2025. So is it to assume then in columns D and E for 2022 and 2023 that no audits were done in that year? Because that's, expenses are for that.
Are you on the Excel spreadsheet?
I am.
Yeah, no, I believe what the difference in all of that is, we didn't have a finance director for quite some time. We used those services for a finance director, as you can see in like 2024. We paid $353,000 for those. We pay audit services every year. I can pull up, I'm actually not on that Excel spreadsheet, but I can pull that up. Most of that, from my understanding, was related costs with not having a finance director. Also, auditing our books, getting to where they are and keeping us current as far as balancing the city finances.
So that's what you meant when we have longer term employees, that they can take on that responsibility and we don't have to have an outside contract.
Correct. There was at one point, I don't remember, help me remember, was it almost a year we had a finance, we contracted through them with a finance director.
Yeah.
And again, they're helping us balance our budget. Last, again, we can get this from Holly, I believe we're still a few months behind, but we're getting caught up on that, and that's the biggest thing is as far as balancing the budget and keeping that current, which our current internal staff is doing that versus hiring that out. So yeah, there's always gonna be audit fees and things that will come or be associated with that, but contracting out for some of these larger services, the hope that will slowly decrease.
Have we got our audit results back yet?
We do not. We're still.
What is the deadline?
The original deadline, I believe, was September 30th also.
So are we in danger of not getting our audit submitted?
So we will not make the 30th deadline, but we are not in danger of losing LGA. CLA reached out to them. We did get an extension from the state. The state hasn't even began working on audits or going through them. They did give us an extension because CLA explained to them, this is not a city of Crookston problem. It was the CLA not being able to get the audit done in time. Staff turnover, again, Holly could fill this in, but I believe we're on our 5th employee from CLA to help us with the audit. And now I believe it's gone as far as that the manager in charge is doing it for us, but they're behind like everyone else, so we did get an extension on that, and my understanding is open-ended until we do get it done, but they did assure us that we wouldn't lose our LGA.
So we don't have, we don't have a true deadline, and it's just
Correct.
said it's open-ended.
Correct.
The state's fine with that.
Correct. And we, again, I know Holly will be here Wednesday. I believe that they are having annual updates with the state. She could fill you in on how often they're doing that, but we are keeping close tabs with the state to stay with compliance on that.
Have you, when do we have to have our, number into the state, the
Levy?
the levy number?
That's December, end of December.
It is the end of December, correct?
Or final.
I think we have it
We
scheduled.
need to have the first one by September 30th, which is why
The
we're having.
proposed September
meetings like
30th, correct.
Okay,
the Other day.
all right.
The proposed
So
September
that's the,
30th.
that's the number that's gonna go out in the
Correct.
tax statements.
Correct.
Correct.
So-
Another question, and you may have been asked and answered last week, but, we setting aside a line item to try to, rejuvenate our unrestricted revenue.
Reserves or revenue?
Yeah, reserves, yeah.
So we are in a little better shape, I think, this year as far as our reserves are currently. That's always the plan, is to try to have something come back in reserves. I'd have to get you that number, Delane, but it's going to be very tight again this year. And following into next year.
I mean, at some point in time, we obviously need to take care of our infrastructure, but we at some point in time, we need to be taking a hard look at, you know, for the longest time, as you guys, a lot of people know that have been on the council a while, I've been asking for that number, and we haven't been able to get it, and now that we have it, it's been told to us that it's uncomfortably low. And so now, I think over the next few years, even if it's a little bit at a time, we should try to stick some money back into that if we can.
You know, I think the hope is too, as we progress through 25, we would know what that number looks like.
Yeah.
If there would be a surplus where we could put back in reserves. Yeah. The goal is to have 45% of the city's
You know,
operating.
the other thing that I've always been trying to get at is at the end of the year number, you know, if we don't spend the money that we've always, let's just use round numbers, if we budgeted $1 million and we use 900,000, that's like $100,000 we didn't use. So it's my thought that that money should go directly into the unrestricted revenue area, but, you know, we haven't been getting real numbers. I didn't, you know, at the end of each month to see where we stand on our budgets as the year goes on. So we only find this stuff out in like next June, I think, when, you know, when the audit's supposed to be completed. And then we say, oh yeah, we dipped into unrestricted revenue again too much, and now that's gonna be down. And, you know, that's a concern.
The way it sounds, we're still pulling from water, right? So
Yeah.
It's not even uncomfortably low, we're out of regulation with our charter.
Right.
We are well below that. I
Right.
think that's the thing, if we're beyond uncomfortable, we're out of.
For sure, and the scary part of it is, we didn't find out that we're in this shape until just this last spring, I think, right?
Yeah.
So, and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the years past, we've always been told we had a healthy, very healthy, you know,
Didn't we
it's-
have a $2 million IOU from the street department or something?
yeah, I mean, it's. So, yeah.
You know, and again, I don't have an answer for you on that tonight, Elaine. I could work with Holly to see if that's possible or where they're at as far as balancing each monthly budget to see what that looks
And
like.
even if it's possible for 2025, what is, I mean, I think we need to have some kind of a plan, whether or not be 25, what are we doing? I don't think this is a can we can continue to kick down the road. I think we need to
And I think some of the problem where maybe we're not seeing a lot of money going back into our reserves and prior budgets is we've had to pull from reserves to balance our budgets.
Right.
I know.
So again, I don't know that there's been a surplus to come back in, but you're right, we need to start looking down the road. To hopefully have a plan where a certain amount goes back in our reserves, we can get back to that 45%.
I mean, I think some of that and I could be wrong, I'm just speculating here, if we have our budget, that's approved by the council. I don't, and maybe it does happen, but how does it come out of our unrestricted reserves without having a conversation in council, or has it been if we've just agreed to it?
We've always agreed to it. It seems like we've always pulled from reserves to balance our budget and council okayed it. This has been going back since forever.
I mean, I can confidently say for the last 2 years, we're able to balance our budget, but any CIP expenditures that we need or that council has approved have come out of reserves. Last year was the same. This year, we're hoping to do that differently, that we don't have to, but we're gonna have to make some serious.
I think how it's been presented to us, that we needed to buy something. And we've taken that money, it's an emergency situation that we needed to buy something. We have money in this reserves is that how it's been taken out of reserves? It has been taken out of reserves because, for example, the Parks Department's gonna be $100,000 under budget, so we're gonna take that we're over budget, we're gonna take that out of reserve. Has it been presented like that?
I feel like it has, but I mean, since last year, when we got the audit back that said, hey, we're way low, so it's been over a year where we haven't been doing that, but I feel like the first 2 years I was on council, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, let's just take it from reserves. So I mean, so the last year I feel like we haven't been doing that, but prior to that, we
I
absolutely
think it's just
were.
been I agree.
And I think sometimes too, like if we're short in staffing or something where there is a surplus in each department or a department, it does go back in reserves. However, we pulled from reserves to fund some of that where we're not seeing a positive balance on that. But again, I can work with Holly and try to get some of those answers for you, for council, and see what that looks like.
I mean, it should almost be treated like the departments have their CIP, their planned expenditures like down the road. I mean, I think that should be a line item for every year. We're putting this money away for.
And I think going back to some of Joseph's point at last council meeting, being proactive that way. Again, speaking as a department head and from past experience, each one of our CIPs typically has that. For example, like maybe a roof replacement or boiler replacement or some other type of upgrades for some buildings or equipment. Just unfortunately, again, the financial position we've been in, it's been tough to fund those. So it's unfortunate that some of those get pushed.
Right.
And we fund the necessities, so again, kind of back where Joseph was talking at the last council meeting about being proactive on some of that. I know most departments have that plan. I know working with prior city administrator, we put a plan together, but like you said, for example, if you have a roof that needs to be replaced in 10 years for $100,000, we should be putting $10,000 a year away for that, but it's just been real difficult to try to fund or plan for those.
I think where we're at right now is if we wanna do that, which I agree, we should be doing that. It's where we're at financially in the tax capacity, we then have to cut somewhere else. Like if we wanna put 10,000 here, we're probably gonna have to cut 10,000 somewhere else. And I'm not saying that we don't do that, I'm just saying that we have to keep that in mind. We can't just keep saying that we should be doing this and then not taking the actions, unfortunately, to cut somewhere else.
And again, I'm really hoping as we go through this and continue to present additional budgets that as we go through, we can present the big picture to council of what that looks like for operating budget and what CIPs could or can't be funded this year and kind of work our way through that.
Darren, do you have a total? So I know we've discussed these departments. We factored in roughly a 10% increase on health insurance.
Correct.
Do you have a tally across all departments on what that's gonna take away from what's already on these sheets?
A very rough number, it was about $75,000 total. And again, we can get you a more concrete number as we go through this, but in the upcoming budgets will reflect a 0% increase. These ones didn't, unfortunately. And I can get you that exact number, but I believe rough estimate was about 75 in that neighborhood. Let's see, did we forget anything else? Again, open to any questions council has, any direction council has, otherwise.
Anything else?
In reference to Wednesday Park and Rec meeting, we did send out the agenda. Hopefully by end of day tomorrow, we'll send out the budget worksheets. I'm gonna meet with Scott again tomorrow just to kind of go through that. Come up with it's done, we just need to fine tune it and get it prepared, presentable to council, and then hopefully by end of day, we'll have that out tomorrow. If that is okay.
That'll have to work.
Well, then as we move forward, we'll be a little more on top of that. I mean, obviously, these are really short notice and we're pushing through them, but we have a little more time to prepare for the other ones as we move forward here, so.
Are you guys putting the recommended capital improvements in those budgets?
They are currently in the budgets, yes. Mm-hmm.
And maybe the last council or a budget meeting, we can look at CIP as a whole, if you'd like. See what each department is looking at.
Would department heads be able to go through and prioritize what they believe?
We've done that. So when you see them, whereas, and again, they are in each budget, we can send out the CIP list again, but they are prioritized per each department and order of priority, correct?
They're already in the order.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Most important to least important. And I mean, there's a couple ways we can do that too. We can show you everything we have and let you guys help make some of those decisions, or we can try to just cut some of those. Cause obviously we're not going to be able to fund all of them. And some of those, like we talked about, you know, planning for down the road expenditures, 10 years down the road or whatever. I mean, unless you wanna see the big picture, or we could look at trying to cut some of them initially and come back with a reasonable request. I guess it's just however council would like to see that.
So you guys got together and put that together as like your priority list?
Excuse me?
So you guys as department heads all got together and prioritized?
Each department presented their CIP in order of priority, yes. And I will go through that again with each department head as we go through here and present these, but. Sounds good. And like I said, as we go through them, they'll be in each budget. And then like Mayor said, if we'd like towards the end, we could look at them as a whole. And we could even prioritize everything, you know, as a whole at the end for each department in one list. It's just whatever direction you give us as we get moving, we can do that for you.
Okay, anything else?
I guess I'm looking at the big picture here. We talk about budget shortfalls, constraints. In terms of the budget that it is now overall, are we saying that we have a shortfall right now, we don't have enough? Is that correct?
So, I mean, prelim again, with insurance and having to adjust these numbers, we can definitely fund our operating budget. It's just CIPs. I believe the request was like 1.2 million. We are not going to be able to fund all of those. I mean,
What's CIP stand for again, sir?
Capital Improvement Projects, sorry. I'd have to get you that budget balance, and I hate to say numbers without having it in front of us. I think we can fund a fair amount of them, and still stay level on the levy. However, depending how far we wanna levy them, that would, or fund them, I'm sorry, would increase the levy amount.
Also, we want to put something in reserves.
Exactly.
So I don't know that exact number. It was, I would hate to say without going back, but what that looks like. So the operating budget is not a shortfall, but there's gonna be some for total requests and capital improvement projects. But
Again, naive on my part, but capital improvement project when a project like that comes forward, it's either all or none, individual projects?
No, so again, for example, I'll just use the police department because I'm familiar with it, like, I might have 8 requests on my CIP from a squad car, maybe some building repairs and improvements, funding, a roof, a boiler, I have a retaining wall. So I have like 8 different things, and I think the total request that I have in this year, as we do every year, we do a 5-year capital improvement plan. So we push down the road. I think my request was like 183,000. Now, as long as I've been in administrations for about 12 years, we've never been able to fund all of those. So we hope like I get to, the police, the city can buy a squad car. Sometimes that's all it is, and that's fine. Sometimes there might be additional money, or sometimes you just have to fund a project because we've delayed on preparing for that. So, and I think each department understands that. But again, in a perfect world, this is what we would like to fund, but we realize that we are not going to be able to financially fund those. So that's where I think some of the council direction comes down on if they feel this project's important enough to fund, or if it can be pushed down the road. Example, the parking lot at City Hall. There's some money funded for that. Is that a project that council thinks they would like to fund, or is it something that we can push down the road another year or so and look at it that way? So.
They never, requests on the CIP, they never go away. They just, can get pushed back 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. They're there. I mean, and departments are always looking for them, but it doesn't mean we have to. Right out, how can we wait 1 year or 2 years?
Yeah, and good departments are out, they're thinking ahead, as they should.
Yeah.
And think these are the things that help us to provide better services, and that's what we want. The question is, there's always.
It's always
need
about
versus the
money.
want. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Thank you.
Definitely can have more conversation, but I appreciate the question. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, just a reminder, another budget workshop Wednesday at 5:30. So we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.